You start hearing a little bit of a hubbub.
So you basically come over this ridge and there they are. They're all spread out amongst these valleys, all doing various fascinating behaviors, building their nests, fighting, interacting at the nest, feeding chicks. All these things are happening. And as a photographer, you're looking at this and you're thinking, where do I go first? One of the best pictures from the book is a head-on shot of a penguin with a complete white background. And this was the first, I think, penguin picture that I took in Antarctica. When you watch them, stealing the rocks from other nests, and you watch them brawling, the more you watch them, I guess, the more human they kind of seem.
They are totally driven animals that are completely on task 24 hours a day, working as hard as they can to raise their chicks in this really, really short summer.
You're not even really part of the equation with those animals at all. You're not a predator, clearly, and you're not food, so you're nothing. You're basically like a fence post. You're just part of the scenery.
They have this really jaunty, these really short legs, this really jaunty kind of side to side, scampering around that they do.
When the penguins are going to and from their nest areas down to the sea, they tend to congregate into these natural corridors and kind of pack down the snow into these icy little runways that lead down to the sea. And the researchers kind of affectionately named one of them the Penguin Superhighway. This is where all the penguins kind of congregate and stop right before they're about to go into the sea. And of course, what they're worried about is the leopard seals, which are kind of patrolling along the ice edge there, waiting for one of the penguins to make a mistake. They're cackling to each other. They do a different kind of call. It's kind of like a bark. They're like, ah, 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 to each other. And they seem to be kind of like, let's go. Let's go. No, you go. No, you go. You go. You go. You go. And finally, one of them makes a move, and then, brrr, literally like 100 go in at once. And this is part of, obviously, a strategy of confusing the leopard seals. What I was trying to communicate with this project was not only the scientific results, but also the kind of human aspect of science. That it's not just these measurements coming in, but there's people making them, and these people have very interesting lives and interesting stories to tell.
So we were sort of a partnership where I was writing about the work that scientists were doing, and Chris was taking photos.
It's hard to not compare it to landing on the moon. It's probably the easiest comparison.
All of a sudden you're in this hostile world there's a 12,000-foot volcano off in the distance that's smoking, and you're landing. You literally land on the largest glacier in the world, this 800-mile-long Ross ice shelf.
I mean, it's very stark. It almost lends itself to black and white photography because there's almost no color. But that starkness also tends to remove distraction. And it brings into all the elements of composition that are kind of obscured by color sometimes, like the forms, the shapes, the arc of a ridge, the shapes of penguins on the ice, the forms that their little bodies may take in little groups.
I realize what it is. It's like a combination of like shrimp peelings and porta potty is the smell. It just never gets old looking at the penguins.